Hi, welcome to the presentation on data-driven project management. And in this presentation, I will give you an overview of the research done by and for academics, students, and practitioners in the last few years. I will also present my team to you, and of course, I will also thank you, IPMA, for awarding this research. So here you see the research award of IPMA, and well, they asked me, can you explain years of research in only 15 minutes? That's not easy. So I thought about this and I thought maybe I just have to tell the story of my team and how IPMA has been involved already from the very beginning. So look at this. This is me. Look at me in 2008. Look at me now. The difference is now I have a little bit more gray hair than I had in 2008. But the story is this. In 2008, when I was 35, IPMA gave me an award for my research on measuring time. And that was a fantastic period because thanks to that award, I could go and to the university and ask funding. They gave me 1.3 million euro to do research on project management. I also work at the Vredig Business School in Belgium, and there I have access to a company network where I can gather project data. And at the UCL School of Management in London in the UK, I have a network of international students that I also used in my research. But most important is this. Thanks to the IPMA award in 2008 and the funding, I was able to attract researchers, and now I have a whole team of researchers in my team that is called the ORMS team, Operation Research and Scheduling. And thanks to all of this, in 2020, I was awarded again by again the IPMA Research Award with a team of postdoctoral researchers. And this is what I'm going to show you in this presentation. So here you see my team. We have two old professors, that's me and Jose. We have three postdoctoral researchers, Annelies, Tom, and Jordi. And we have Gaetan, who is the administrative coordinator of this project. Now here you see the overview of what we have done. Of course, research has a past, a present, and a future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present the research carried out between 2017 and 2019. And maybe I briefly touch about the future research that we're going to do. You will see four different parts. Study one is we collected data. It's a study about project data. We collected and analyzed data. And then we have three other studies in which we use the data. We use it in the classroom to do some experiments. We use it in an academic study on controlling projects in an analytical way. And finally, we use it for the professional world in which we carried out research on data calibration. So let me walk over those four research studies. Study number one, we have to collect data. Now, collecting data is not easy because you have data and data. On the one hand, we generated artificial data, and the generation of data in an artificial way is not so easy as it sounds. And we did that in different ways, resulting in 7 different databases of almost 5,000 projects. So we have a lot of projects that we can use in our research. Below on the slide, you see a summary paper. If you're interested, you can download this paper. But artificial data is one thing. We also want real data, empirical data. And so we collected data from practice, which is of course very time consuming because we have to walk together with the project manager and look what he or she does, and then we have to collect all the data. But I'm happy to tell you that we have now a database of more than 125 projects. And again, if you're interested, we have a publication about that, published in the International Journal of Project Management in 2015. And of course, that database grows. So we have data, that was one part. And thanks to the data, we could do a lot of things. First, we created a website called Solutions Update, where researchers can download the data, but can also upload solutions. Solutions here are project schedules, so that researchers can compare the schedules obtained by research with, for example, the schedules obtained by Microsoft Project. Secondly, if we have schedules, then we want to improve them. We want to have better schedules. And so we programmed exact algorithms that find a very good schedule, an optimal schedule. And so now you can use those optimal schedules to compare them with the schedules generated by software tools. And then finally, since we realized that creating, generating, or constructing schedules for the project is very hard, we want to understand why is it so hard? And so we created a small set of 623 very, very difficult projects in a very fancy way, and we share them to the research community to convince them that if they develop new algorithms, they have to test their algorithms on the hard projects, such that maybe in the future we understand why it is so complex. And if we do, we can improve. So that is in a nutshell the first study. If you're interested in papers of the 3 studies that you can see here, then you can find them here in journals such as the Computer and Industrial Engineering Journal or the flagship journal Computers and Operations Research in 2018 and 2020. Now that we have data, we want to use the data in the classroom. In 2018, I wrote a book about the data-driven project manager, which is a book that is, first of all, pretty technical, but also it tells a story. It's a kind of a technical business model. And what I teach in this book is how to construct a plan for a project, then how to analyze risk for a project, then how to add buffers for your resources, then how to monitor the performance of your project, and then how to control your project and take actions if you are in trouble. And the research question was this: if we use that book and the case studies that we have in the classroom, and here you see the classroom in 2019 in London, then can we use these case studies and this book to improve the students' project management skills? That was the question. And so we tested all kinds of skills. Of course, we have the hard skills like understanding strengths and weaknesses of methods, the analysis, analytical thinking, but also calculations, the quantitative skills. But we also have, of course, we need soft skills like communication, have a critical mindset, have an organizational or holistic view, and be creative. So we tested those skills. And the question is, can we improve project management skills using project management case studies? Well, here you see the results in a nutshell. In the first experiment, we saw that both the hard and the soft skills improve throughout the different phases. So they are important everywhere. Secondly, we see that they are not only important, but the more you go to the end of the project life cycle, the more we can learn and the more we can improve the skills for the students. And finally, we also saw that although it's always a mix between soft and hard skills that you need in every phase, the analytical hard skill, the data-driven project management skill, is the most important one because you need it in every phase. Of course, we have more results, but that's in a nutshell what we did in study 2. So now that we have data, and now that we can use data to improve project management skills, we were thinking, can we use this data to improve the control of a project? Now, I need a flashback now. Remember that I talked about my first research award in 2008 that I received from IPMA. That was a research award on what I called static project control, in which I used earned value management to control projects, and I wrote a book about it, published in 2010, called Measuring Time. It was, basically, this was the start of my career. But then much later, so this is, by the way, static project control. You have control limits. You see the blue dots, which is the performance of the project. And if the performance of the project at a certain moment in time, which is the x-axis, exceeds the thresholds, then of course it's time for action. If the performance is too low, you are in danger, so you should take actions. If the performance is very high, you see an opportunity and maybe you can improve. That's static project control. Some years later, in 2015, I extended that to statistical project control. I was hoping for having another award at that moment, but IPMA was not there. I mean, they did not recognize this research, but okay. But what is statistical project control? Well, it's the same as static, but way more advanced, where we say those control limits must be, a little bit variable. It depends on which stage of the project you are in. Sometimes they are high, sometimes they are low, and we do that based on statistical analysis. It's not easy, but it's much better. That was 2015. And so if we now compare the static project control research of 2008 with the statistical project control research of 2015, here you see the results. The static one is very easy, that's the good news, but they are, well, just good. While the statistical project control are very complex, very advanced, but they are excellent, they perform excellent. And so a couple of years ago, we thought, can we combine best of both worlds? Can we make it as easy as a static project control approach, such that professionals will use it, but also as good as the statistical project control approach? And the answer was, yes, we can, if we use what we called analytical project control limits. So we started research on analytical project control. What we did is we did some simple calculations, and then we translated those calculations into dashboards, like buffers. Like you see, you know what a buffer is. If you're in the green zone, no problem. If you are in the orange zone, you have to be careful. If you are in the red zone, it's time for actions. But what we did is threefold, and you see the papers there. First, we created analytical project control buffers. So let's say the formulas and the theory. Then we used in another publication those analytical project control buffers to test whether they can improve the actions taken by the project manager to bring projects back on track if you are in trouble. That's the second study. And then last but not least, we also validated our research in a practical way. Does it work in the real world? And the answer was, of course, yes. So if you're interested, here are the papers, but that's in a nutshell what we did in the third study. And then, last but not least, data calibration. This is, I think, the most important one for professionals, because if you compare an academic with a professional, then look what you have. Both academics and professionals, if they have a project, they start with one plan. We have a schedule. But the difference between the two is that academics, what they do is, if they want to control a project, they simulate the progress of a project. So they don't do it for real, those academics, they simulate it. And they can use simulations using probability distributions from statistics. For a professional, of course, that's a little bit different. There's only one reality. They don't simulate, they do their project. And they only know the outcome afterwards when the project is finished. Now, the reason why academics simulate everything is because they want general results, general predictions. They want to learn something. While a professional, he or she wants predictions for their projects. They don't care about general results. They want to predict their project. So that's a difference. So the question is this. We academics, we have probability distributions, so we can simulate. But the professional cannot simulate because they don't know the real distributions for their project. And here is where the story of data calibration comes in. Data calibration means if we have real data from professionals, can we use that data in the academic world to look at real distributions? We don't care about just statistical distributions, we want real distributions. And if we have those real distributions, we can give them back to the professional, and then the professional can simulate and generate results that are very project specific rather than general. And the way it works is a little bit like this. You don't need a lot of data. What you need is a database of real projects where you need to have the schedule, so the duration estimates of the activities in your schedule, and then afterwards, the real durations of projects that are finished. Based on that, we do some statistical testing. Now, there are two ways to do that, but one way that you all know is curve fitting. Curve fitting means we're going to try to fit a curve that fits to the data. We're not going to use this because we think that's theory. But once we do those testing, then finally we have probability distributions that are not general, but that are real and of practical use for the professionals. Now, option one is curve fitting. As I said, we don't use this, we use data calibration. The difference between curve fitting and data calibration is that it's not only statistical tests, but it also includes human errors and even human lies, because real data is always prone to errors and maybe some lies here and there, and also some human expertise. Since it's real data, maybe we have to use the knowledge of the project manager too. So rather than making it a curve-fitting statistical technique, we call it a calibration technique that combines expertise, errors and lies, and statistical knowledge. And here you see the different publications that we have. Now I have to be fair with you. The initial idea of calibration is not ours. The initial idea comes from a paper in 2012 written by a colleague Dan Frich in EJOR, and he started with a very technical paper where he said calibration is more important than curve fitting. So I'm very grateful for that idea. And then in 2016, we thought maybe we can test this idea on real data. And we did it on 24 projects, and we saw that the results were pretty good, but not excellent. And so then we decided maybe we can extend it to adding human expertise. If we add human intuition plus statistical knowledge, then maybe we improve. And we tested it on 97 projects, and it worked even better, and it's published. And last but not least, we also, in the last study, we also tried to combine human expertise and statistical knowledge in one general data calibration approach. We tested it on 125 projects, and the results were amazing. This last publication shows that data calibration works, which means that we now can finally give probability distributions to real people, to professionals, so that they can use them, and it's very specific for their projects. It's not general anymore, as it always was in the past for academics. So that's the final study. So what we have in the final study is, rather than using general statistics, now the professor can use real distributions based on the data of the professional projects, and now they can predict the future much, much better. I think this will create a bridge between academia and practice, and that's of course the whole goal of doing research. So that's it. I only had a couple of minutes, 15 minutes, so that was my presentation and my research in a nutshell. If I say my research, then of course that's a lie, because it's not mine, it's ours. I have a team, as you know, with Jose, Tom, Annelies, Jordi, and Gaetan, and myself. I'm very grateful to them. I'm very grateful to IPMA that they recognized and award our research. This was what we did between 2017 and 2019. But of course, it doesn't stop here. The nice thing about research is it never ends. There is a future. We want to do much, much more. And I'm happy to introduce you to my team and to a couple of other websites. On top, you see my team. You see that my team has grown now to, well, more than 10 people from different countries. If you want to meet them, you see the website there. If you want to have more knowledge, we have some books. You see at the bottom left, you see 5 books on project management with data. If you want to see them, you can go to this website. And of course, last but not least, if you're interested in data, well, we have data and it's available for you for free. So if you want to look at our data, go to this website and, well, download it, share it, and do whatever you want to do with it. Thank you for watching. It was a pleasure to have you. Bye-bye.